The lesson.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, when you've been transitioning, into, I guess, starting by figuring out, hey, I can get paint legit this way.
Yeah.
And obviously one thing progresses to another.
Yeah.
At which point did you, because I know that you opened up the shop.
Yeah. So what happened was maybe 98, we had a studio in Prospect. Me, my partner Suze and her sister rented out an old shop. It was just an empty old bookshop. And we would, like my partner, she made jewellery, her sister was doing some form of jewellery, I was making paintings, and we were also making clothing as well. So we had a brand KAB101. We didn't really wholesale it, we were just selling it out of the bag kind of thing. The people started knocking on the door. Can we buy a few hoodies? Can we buy a hat? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, come in guys, blah, blah, blah. No shop, just a few desks, a couple of boxes of clothes, a jewellery making bench, and there was a shed out the back that I used to paint in that had no power, so I'd just rig up a power cord and a fluoro and dirt floor, that kind of thing, so I could make as much mess as I want. It was good. So people kept knocking on the door. Then at one stage we were like, well, why don't we try and do this, just sell what we sell and other artists what they make. And we decided to open up in 99. And that's the second Area 101. The first Area 101 was the studio above Eckersley's. That group of us all shared, and it was just called Area 101, just the name I came up with as for a name. And so we decided to open Prospect as Area 101 with a clothing brand KAB101 by KAB101. All got a bit confusing, you know what I mean? But that's what we did at the time. And my partner would sell our jewellery. Sean used to bring in Rust-Oleum, Belton, American Accents, and I believe one other brand, might have been Anchor or some Malaysian paint. So we started putting paint in the store. We had all our own hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, anti-surveillance masks, things that we just made, jewellery. We started stocking books and magazines. We had other people's clothing, fat laces, like b-boy fat laces, really hard to get back then. We used to get them from Pro Bowl in Goodwood in 86. That had dried out years ago, and then the only people that had them were, those shoe care places, these Waipu ones that just fell apart. So we'd go, okay, we'll get 600 pairs in from the States. And so we had all the fat laces, just niche kind of stuff, nozzles, all kinds of stuff really, just whatever we could get our hands on that was interesting and that we could afford to buy and resell. We didn't have any money starting up, we didn't have a loan, no one helped us out. We just generated through selling t-shirts and me doing a bit of painting work, which wasn't very big back then, you didn't get paid very much. Sold a few paintings as well, just whatever money we put in to make it happen and then built it up.
Yeah, so how did you, over how many years?
Yeah, so like we were there for 3 years, and I think it was 93 or 92, I can't remember exact. We decided to step it up a little. We'll go, let's go to the city. So I think what happened was, I can't remember exactly. I must have come into some money, or my partner did or something. I'm not sure exactly. We had a little bit of money. We got a lease in Harley Street for a lot bigger shop. Originally it was going to be a small shop in Twin Street. This is prior to Clinic 116. It was directly across the road, an old abandoned pet store. We actually had that for a while. We were going to fix it up, but just too many repairs. It was derelict pretty much. They turned around and said, we can't let you keep leasing it. Well, we hadn't paid at this point. We'd signed everything. They came in and they did an evaluation and went, this place is condemned. And we said, we can fix it. And they were like, no, you can't. It's just legally not happening. So that didn't happen. So we started looking up around Hindley Street area because we thought, there's a lot of rental properties. We were going to take the old Grecian Cave, which is a bar, I believe now. It had super mold downstairs. That place was disgusting. It was just because it had been a souvlaki bar for years. They never cleaned it when they moved out. Oil everywhere. We just looked at it and went, this is just too hard. It's like the derelict shop. Same thing, it's too much work. We looked across the shop, this big empty shop. We're like, fuck it, let's just go in there and ask them. So we got the land people's details, asked them what the rent is, negotiated, kept knocking them down, finally got a price we could afford for X amount of years. It went right, and we just started it, dude. It just started happening, I poured all the money that we had into building walls and painting walls and clear glossing the floor and building racks out of fencing poles. So we did everything very urban and industrial and all yourself, DIY kind of make it happen yourself kind of style. Then we started getting in some other brands. So Carhartt, Obey, a few other sort of weird Japanese t-shirt brands that was through the guys at Flipside in Sydney. They hooked us up with, just other clothing stuff all together. And, we'd had our original first exhibitions at 99 in the shop in Prospect. So Masca did the first show, we had a few after that. So we just started having big group shows there. So on a Friday night, it wouldn't be unusual to see 30 people in there looking at art and, stuff that was affordable. Stuff, street art or whatever you want to call it, or design or stuff related to graph or tattooing or something like that. There's always something going on. Had a couple of turntables set up there. We play all kinds of music, whatever you want, whatever we want, sort of thing. There's no set. This is this kind of shop, So.
And then, what year did you close up the shop, and why did you decide to close it up then?
What happened a few years down the track with the big shop, they turned around and said, we want to double the rent. And we went into negotiations. They just didn't care. The guy it was in the name of some kid over in China, they didn't care if it was empty or not. It's a tax write-off. So we moved into the Greater Union Complex to a much smaller shop, had to really shrink it all down, kept it pretty slick. Stayed there for a while, similar thing. They wanted new tenancies to put rent up. We then moved to Ebenezer Place. And I think around that period, it was just getting to that period where I'd had enough talking to people, It's kind of like, there's only so many people you can put up with who ask stupid questions or just basically not very intelligent, They're great people as well, amazing people, but just, I don't know, Joe Public can be a bit of a bore thing after a while. And so I wasn't into it as much anymore. And it got to the point where retail was slowly becoming less, we had a lot of brands that other people didn't have. They started to kind of just allow other shops to have the same stuff in the same state, which kind of killed it, which it did. And so we just went, we'll just, let's move on. And a friend of ours was interested in it, and we actually sold it to him. And he kept it running for a few years and then just decided he worked with bands a lot. Big Jim, and he just decided he'd rather tour with bands and not have the responsibility, and I can understand that. It's a lot of work. You don't shut the shop at 6. You go to sleep at 4 in the morning, and someone's opening at 10 or 11. You're up drawing all night. It's not just working the shop taking money. A lot more goes on behind the scenes. So,
And then, so what year was it that you sold it, and what year was it that he completely just packed it up?
I think it must have been roughly 2005, I think. No, 2007, sorry. So it was maybe 2000. I'm not sure, All I know is I'd had enough. I wanted out. And it was just coincidental that he wanted to do something at the time. And so he took it on and bought it. And we hung around in Adelaide for a while, and then eventually I decided to go down the coast and live down in Victor for a couple of years just to have some disconnect, work on my art. So that's pretty much what we did. Just went down there, which is it's God's waiting room, man. There's not much going on for youth or anyone that's interested in anything beyond retiring,
Yeah.
So I was going a bit nuts there. Met some cool people down in Goolwa, some surfer, skater kind of kids that were good, and they did a bit of writing and stuff, but never painted down there anywhere. Did one painting under a underpass or something one time, and a little bit of other stuff around the place, but never really painted in Victor at all, except for helped a youth group out occasionally. Did some workshops where I just showed kids with disabilities how to paint and helped them out, and a couple of kids with problems, and that was good, giving something back. So I'd done workshops years and years ago, but I turned my back on it. I'd had enough. But with those guys, the kids with disabilities, that was good. You know, I felt a lot for it, enjoyed it. You know, it's not what I'd want to do, but it was good to
do
you know,
it.
Good to do it. You
Yeah,
know?
get a hand in
Like
there.
they had to paint this mural, I still wouldn't do the whole thing where I took over to make it look the best. I'd make them do it, and I'd fix it up a bit. I'd still like it. It's theirs, you know. It's not mine. So I just enjoyed the process of seeing the smile on these guys' faces and them producing something that they're proud of, that they'd never normally get the time of day to do, or maybe they're too shy, or they just don't speak to people that well. And yeah, I gave them an outlet, which was cool, you know.
The lesson. 27. Oh, yeah.